29th of May and the year is 2025. In front of the lens is your Benson Pastorate to give you what continues to transpire in NILECAST News and its daily program at Western Television that comes on your way from Mondays to Saturdays from the hour of 7 up to the hour of 8 p.m. whereby we bring you a lot in what continues to transpire around. And take a look at the headlines. Shortly I'll be bouncing back with the details.
Coming up in the NILECAST news headline tonight, West Nile foot pilgrims reach Kampala ahead of Mother's Day celebration. Government urged to allocate resources for early childhood education in Moyo. And journalists in Adjumani district urged to be professional. For this and more in the NILECAST news bulletin.
Moving forward, this time with the details of the news, we are commencing with a religious story all about the preparation ahead of Uganda Mother's Day celebration, and here comes the story. West Nile foot pilgrims now reaching Kampala ahead of Uganda Mother's Day celebration, which is set to take place on 3rd of June 2025, and to honor the 45 Uganda Mothers who were killed and burnt alive under Kabaka Mwanga. The pilgrims were welcomed at St. Luke Church of Uganda, Tinta, a suburb of Kampala. Take a look at the story, which has been reported by Alfred Jawok.
The 423 West Nile foot pilgrims have indeed made their way to Kampala city as part of their journey to the Namugongo Martyrs Shrine, as they are preparing to celebrate the Uganda Martyrs Day on June 3rd, honoring the 45 Uganda martyrs who were killed and burnt alive under Kabaka Mwanga. At around 1:30 p.m., the pilgrims were welcomed at St. Luke Church of Uganda, Tinda, a suburb of Kampala. Sunday Dugira, one of the pilgrims, said honoring the Uganda martyrs will strengthen their relationship with God.
I am glad and happy, excited at St. Luke Tinda to report to all the Christians who are way back home in Madi, West Nile and Nebi that all our foot pilgrims have reached safely here in St. Luke.
Dugira added that the pilgrims from two dioceses, including Nebi, Madi and West Nile Diocese, embarked on a 13-day walk of faith covering approximately 580 kilometers.
We thank God for your prayers. We thank God for your material support. They are in high spirit. We have really seen the Lord's hand. Looking at the distance from Madi, West Nile, Nebi up to Kampala, and no one has fallen sick. It is God's hand indeed. Praise the living God.
Bernard Angozo, in charge ambulance services for the pilgrims, confirmed that all the pilgrims reached safely without any health-related issues reported.
To your attention, information about the health care of my pilgrims. They are doing well. They are very strong, and they have received all the medical services that we could provide. And I promise next year, I'm very sure more people will join because of the services we have rendered to these people.
Reverend Philiam Anako, team leader Madi and West Nile Diocese, lauded the pilgrims for being disciplined on a road right from West Nile to Kampala city.
Our farm Pomo Godre Amaneta Tindabor Messi. Amebo West Nile Timuro Amutir, that's Syria Mandi Tiki, Amemo Leniasi. Madi West Nile E as in Nebi Diocese. Amebo Loro at Nebi of Nero. Mobile Cosimo, Yorkini, and I'm a Messi, Mongrimo Prince.
Pilgrims carry personal intentions, petitions, and prayers seeking divine intervention, healing, or expressing gratitude for blessings received. The pilgrims will rest at St. Luke Church of Uganda, Tinda, then proceed to Namugongo Martyrs Shrine. I want to report the 423 pilgrims from West Nile. When I talk about West Nile, I mean Nebi Diocese, Madi and West Nile Diocese. All the 523 pilgrims have reached safely to Tinda, St. Luke Church of Uganda, where we are. And you can see these pilgrims, they are very happy that they are resting here today. And then on Saturday, they will proceed up to Namugongo. Meanwhile, for Madian West Nile Diocese, they have their separate place to rest. Alfred Jawok, West Nile TV, Tinda.
Away from that religious story, now on the education sector, government is asked to allocate resources for early childhood education in Moyo district. This was said during the commissioning of Eremi Parents Nursery School, whereby Seford, a non-governmental organization, constructed a 3-classroom block with an office and a store aimed at promoting early childhood education in the district. This story has been compiled by Okum Dominic.
The community of Eremi, in partnership with Community Empowerment for Rural Development Seford and KidsShare Foundation, constructed a 3-classroom block with an office and a store aimed at promoting early childhood education in the area following a decade of challenges that range from lack of shade for the learners, few teachers, and low enrollment of the learners in the school. Aleruto Maza, the area member of Parliament West Moyo County, during the commissioning lauds the parents and Seford for their partnership in promoting early childhood education, saying human resource development starts from the ECD centers. He, however, notes that there is need for the government to allocate resources for the early childhood development centers so as to nurture and harness the potential of the learners at an early stage.
Human resource development starts from the ECDC center. So really, once again, I want to thank the government, I want to thank the community for partnering and making sure that this center is here, so that you can be able to start harnessing the hidden, potential of this child from this center for, holistic development. This is where human resource development starts from. Thereafter, it is spread to other areas. That the government will also interest itself in allocating money, allocating resources for nursery school teachers.
Ochen Godwin, the project officer, Youth Education and Skills Program Seford, who was the lead implementer of the project, gives account of the partnership with the community in terms of the materials and the cost of the construction.
In this program, we work with the community, and in the process of working with the community is in charge of the local project management. In this, they also mobilize all the local materials. So what you see here, bricks, sand, stones, had been mobilized by the community. Where we come in is where the community cannot find those resources within. And this includes the local industrial material and labor. And in this case, the whole project component here costs around 150 million.
Dulu Samuel, the chairperson Local Council 3 Ocha Sub-County, feels if more of such early childhood development centers are put in various locations across the district, it will create employment opportunities and improve the performance of learners in schools.
So I think once a similar structure is put in other locations, it will greatly improve enrollment in primary education and also in early childhood education. It has so many good impact around the community. In terms of employment, of course, the number of teachers employed has also increased.
As Sir Charles, the school management committee chairperson, Eremi Parents Nursery School, recalls the challenges the school encountered before Seford collaborated with the parents to construct a modern facility for the school.
We were suffering because we did not have proper shade for our children, no sitting place for our children. At times we could be chased away by the rain. With that challenge, we came up with a plan. We made a shade, roofing with the papyrus mat, with some mats for them to sit. That's how we have been moving.
Iracha Irene, the head caregiver Eremi Parents Nursery School, re-echoed the challenges of lack of classroom, play materials, and seating materials, but lauded Seford for their support in facelifting the school.
Actually, before we had a lot of challenges. One is we don't have our own block. Then we thank God much so that Seford came in. Then they have constructed us 3 classroom block, then one office and one store. I think now our problem of no block has been solved.
CEFOD, a non-governmental organization operating in the West Nile region in partnership with Kids Care Foundation and the local community of Moyo District, has for the past 2 years embarked on the construction of early childhood education centers across Moyo District, with so far over 5 early childhood development centers constructed in various sub-counties aimed at improving the quality of education right from the nursery schools. Dominic Anthony Okumu, West Nile TV, NILECAST.
Away from that story in Moyo, now jetting to the neighboring district, that's in Ajuman district. Journalists in Ajuman district are asked to be professional. This came during a 2 days refresher training with the Forum for African Women Educationists in South Fawe as a way to build in professionalism and at the same time to advocate for sexual reproductive health and gender equity and equality. Onzima Alan reports the story.
Forum for African Women Educationists, in partnership with WaterAid and other consortium partners, held a 2 days refresher training with journalists at Hotel Dubai in Ajumani district on 27th of May 2025. This was to build in professionalism and at the same time to advocate for sexual reproductive health and gender equity and equality. Joseph Wandera, a consultant under Forum for African Women Educationists, underscored the role of journalists in embracing reproductive health and issues of gender equity and equality through becoming advocates. He said journalists are key in social media in the world.
We expect that journalists will support us in various ways, and one of them is them becoming advocates for women's rights and the sexual reproductive health rights. Given that journalists are very key in the social media world, we expect that every time they have an opportunity, when they're on air, when they are hosting programs, at least they speak about issues that affect women, the stereotypes in the communities. And at the end of it all, we want to request you as journalists that you foster, you advocate for gender equity and equality, but also issues of sexual reproductive health rights.
Bazio Dorin, the Communications Secretary at Jumani District Local Government, applauded the partners for the refresher training, hence urged the journalists to advocate what they have been taught and sustain the advocacy not only for the project but for long-run use.
I want to appreciate all the partners that have thought it very good to train journalists here in Germany on sexual reproductive health rights, an agenda. So many times we see that these issues of SHR and gender play right into our profession as journalists. So I feel it's important because sometimes the female reporters, they shy away from reporting stories. Most times when you see the big stories, it's the males who are into those newsrooms and writing the stories. But also most of our stories, when you see our sources, they are male. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe we don't find sources that are female, but it is good to balance stories and make them gender sensitive. On the training, I want to rally journalists to take this training very seriously, and not just for the project, but it should be something that pushes us to use our talents to advocate. We work on many media spaces, and we can use these platforms to advocate on SRHR, but also talk about the gender issues that we.
Taban Datapita, the RDC of Ajumani District, said for journalists to report effectively what they have collected, they should do enough research on what they are to advocate and document them very well for sustainability and future consumption.
Therefore, I want to call upon you that in this training, there are many things that we hide. There are many things that people hide. There are many things that cultural leaders hide. There are many things that our mothers hide as far as our girls are concerned. Take issues of abortion. Somebody can abort, but everybody will keep quiet until you find a time when the things get worse. That's when people come up. At the end of the day, someone dies. But as a journalist, you have all the opportunities to squeeze around and get such an information. And when you blow it out, it gives opportunity for the other people to come in and somebody can be rescued. Therefore, I want you to be very keen to see how we can rescue such young girls who can die because of.
Forum for African Women Educationists, known as FAWE Uganda, Shatters appeared the second time in training journalists to advocate for matters of sexual reproductive health and gender equity and equality. Kashundot Fancy Onzima Alan reporting for West Nile Television NILECAST.
That story from Ajuman District concludes today's edition of NILECAST News. It has been me, Oraku Benson Pastore, doing it for you. Let's link up again tomorrow.